Good afternoon folks, my name is Toad, you're watching Visordown, and today I'm testing out Morbidelli's latest adventure bike. This is the T1002 VX, and we have been riding it up here in Lancashire. We've been around the Ribble Valley and the Trough of Bowland and all those lovely places, hit some really nice roads on it. And my mission for the day really is to find out if Chinese built adventure bikes are any good and if they are worth the saving over a conventional European or Japanese adventure motorcycle of the same class and size. So we've got an afternoon of riding ahead of us. We're just ahead of the lunch stop now, and I'm going to do a verdict at the end of it to see how we've got on. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you about this one though. So this is £7,999 if you want the standard T1002V, which is the bike with cast wheels. If you want this bike with the spoked wheels, then you are looking at £8,199. Whichever way you skin it, it does mean you're getting quite a lot of motorcycle for your money. How much? Well, you're getting a 99-degree V-twin engine, so a proper old school V-twin, none of that cross-plane parallel twin cylinder nonsense from Morbidelli. It is 88.1 bhp, which comes in at around about 7,000 rpm, and the motor puts out 65 pound-foot of torque, and it is topped off by a proper juicy 20-litre fuel tank, which is very nice. One of the good things about this bike, and this is one of the things that I quite like about the way Morbidelli have spec'd it up, is they've basically just chucked everything at it and said, this is everything that we do, we'll put it on the bike for you. The only accessory that you can actually buy for it really is the pannier set, which is about 400 or 500 quid, but it's full aluminium and looks mint. So it's standard, you get an electronics, traction control, you're getting riding modes, you're getting Bosch cornering ABS, you're getting heated grips, you're getting a heated seat, you're getting cruise control, you get an adjustable screen, you get a TFT, and you get Bluetooth connectivity. And I know for a fact that some of those things that I've mentioned there will be options that you will have to tick if you're going with one of the competitor bikes, either in the price point or in the capacity segment. So that is quite a lot of kit for your money. You're also getting proper branded chassis hardware. So we've got KYB fully adjustable forks and a KYB fully adjustable shock. You're getting brakes from J-Juan, and I know it doesn't say Brembo on them, but Brembo own J-Juan, and they are good stoppers to have on a bike, so that is all good. You've got proper tyres as well. We've got Pirelli Scorpion trails fitted to it as standard, and that's whichever bike you go for. So you've got tyres that can handle the touring, they can handle a little bit of now, give me a minute. It's in my eyes, Luke. So you've got proper tyres that can handle the touring, they can handle the wet weather, and they can do some light off-roading if you wanted to. Ground clearance is 190mm, and the seat height is 820mm, although after riding it this morning, it does feel a little bit higher than that because of the fairly wide, chunky step-over that you've got. The only other real thing that I need to mention is the weight of it, because it is 265 kilograms, but that is wet with a 20-litre tank full of fuel on the top of it. So there we go. On paper, at least, that sounds like a hell of a lot of bike for the money. How does it perform? Well, I'm not going to tell you just yet because I haven't fully made up my mind on a couple of points about the bike. So we're going to be riding off and having lunch in a moment. Then we've got a full afternoon to get back to GB Moto, where this launch has been ran from, and I'll give you the rundown of whether or not this shapes up as a true competitor to a traditional adventure bike from Europe or Japan. So there we have it, folks. We are back here at GB Moto, just outside of Chorley. We've done, I think somebody said we've done about 130 miles on the bike today. I've just been riding this bike here, which is the X model. This is the V, the one with the cast wheels. I've been riding the one with the spoked. And we have been absolutely blessed with some of the greatest weather that I've ever experienced up here in Lancashire. It's been a very interesting test. I've not ridden a Chinese bike of this capacity ever before. So this is the biggest Chinese bike that I've ever ridden. It's always been fairly low capacity stuff and middleweight stuff. So that's been quite interesting. The other interesting thing for me with this bike is that this isn't a cloned engine, a cloned version of a Honda or a Suzuki engine or anything like that. This is MBP's own engine, their own V-twin engine that they've designed and developed, which is quite an interesting one. I'm going to start there. I'm going to start on the engine. So on paper, it isn't the most powerful V-twin engine in the world for its capacity point, and that is reaffirmed when you ride it. It's got
The character of the engine is nice. It makes fantastic noise. The induction roar from these things when you roll on the throttle is addictive. It's really, really nice to hear. And because it's induction roar, it's only coming up at you. It's not disturbing everybody else in the Ribble Valley that you're flying through. But it isn't the most gutsy engine. It isn't the most punchy. So the power delivery is quite soft. It's very soft actually. So is the torque delivery. And you do have to work the throttle quite hard because the throttle mapping is also very progressive and very soft. So it almost feels like the initial part of opening the throttle, there isn't really a lot happening. And then all of a sudden it all comes in and hits you in the face. It does make it feel very accessible, makes it feel very easy to ride. It's got that kind of that woolly sort of character that big V twins have got, but it is very understressed on the power and torque front. And I do think as well, and have spoken to some of the guys from GB Moto, who are the UK importer for Morbidelli and also Benelli, and it does seem like this engine is jumping through quite a lot of Euro emission hoops just to get through the latest, most stringent Euro 5+ regulations, which is kind of neutering all of that down, which kind of isn't helping any of it. If you go up into the sport mode, so I started off the day in the road riding mode, went up into the sport mode, and it did improve the throttle response. It was a little bit more punchy, but it still, I would like it to be a little bit more direct and more like we find on established brands from Japan and Europe and America as well. I'll also say it's not the most fuel efficient bike. We were recording on the motorway somewhere, cruising at about 75, 80 miles an hour, registering about 35 mpg, which isn't a lot. There are much more fuel efficient bikes out there, but you have got a 220 litre tank, which means you are going to be going around about 200 miles between Phillips, which is about in the sweet spot for a little bit of light touring or international riding. I'm going to move away from the engine now. So the handling of it, I was really impressed with, because I like the way that Morbidelli have gone for branded stuff. They've gone for KYB, they've gone for change arm brakes, and that has paid dividends in the handling and the comfort front. It is a very nicely set up system. The only time that I felt that the chassis and the suspension was starting to come unstuck was on some really tight and nadgery mountain passes where the surface was quite rough and uneven, and we were really starting to push on hard, and it started to feel like we were overriding the bike then. It started to feel like it was getting a little bit out of its comfort zone. This afternoon, after that section, we had a really nice section of about 10 miles, and it was fast, sweeping, perfectly smooth A roads, and that transformed it. That is where this thing really started to feel like it came into its own. On roads like that, it was brilliant. It's a big old bike, so it's over 250 kgs, I think 265 with a full tank of fuel, and the panniers fitted, which aren't fitted to these ones. So there's no getting away from the fact that it's a big old bike. But it hides its weight well, and what the weight does, it gives it a really nice planted feeling when you are hammering through faster turns. So it rides the suspension really nicely, and it does hide that weight. The only time that you feel it is when you come to a stop. I'm pretty small, but you get off this thing and it's a tall bike, the weight feels quite high up, so manual handling was a little bit of an issue. I'm also going to say as well, Morbidelli have told us this is an 820mm seat. It does not feel like an 820mm seat. It feels like about 840 or 850 to me, and it's quite a wide seat, so the step over is quite wide, which does mean even me, I was like literally the very tips of my toes if I wanted both feet on the floor, which did make it a little bit tricky. I don't know that there's an option for a lowered seat version as well, so you might have to just take that into consideration if you were looking for one. I'm going to talk about the rest of the comfort now while I'm talking about the seat. The screen's excellent. It's adjustable. You can just about do it on the fly. You have to like unhook 2 clips when you've got it on cruise control and lift the screen up. I just like the way that it's got an adjustable screen, because it's not a given in this class. It's not a given at this price point, and it goes along with the heated grips and the heated rider seat and the cruise control and the Bluetooth connectivity. They have literally thrown everything that they can at this at that one price point, which I think is a very, very good feature. I just mentioned the heated grips. They are absolutely amazingly powerful. I'm pretty sure at ABR this year, you could go up to one of these on the Morbidelli stand and cook some bacon on the heated grips if they would let you turn it on, because it is that hot. It's too hot in summer riding gloves. I only had it on just to test it, but it was too hot. Had to turn it down because it was literally burning my hands. Same goes for the heated seat. It is ridiculously powerful. So that is going to be a really neat feature if you are going to be commuting through winter. That is something you're definitely going to want on there. So I set out today to find out, or to answer the question of, is a Chinese built adventure bike any good at this sort of segment, and are they really worth the money that you save over buying a more established brand from Japan or Europe or America, or even a second-hand, slightly older adventure bike of this sort of category? Look, the Chinese, there's not this massive invasion of Chinese manufacturers coming over to Europe and they're going to steal all the sales from from Honda and from Yamaha and Suzuki and Ducati. That's not happening. Their bikes are getting better. I've ridden a lot of Chinese bikes and they do get better with every iteration. They just improve in little ways, but there's still a lot of areas to go. And the main one is the mechanicals of the engine. They just can't fathom how to get the same amount of power that European manufacturers and Japanese manufacturers get from this sort of displacement without making the engine feel strangled by the more stringent emissions regulations that we have over here. What you can't argue against with them, and this is the main point, and this is probably what will help most of these bikes fly off the shelves, is the value for money. I mean, this is under £8,000, a shade under 8,000. This is about £8,200, and for that you're getting a 1000cc, near as makes no difference, V-twin adventure bike that looks great. It's got phenomenal level of spec on it and kit that's already fitted to it as standard. You can spec it up with the aluminium panniers and luggage for an extra 500 quid. You can't do that with a BMW for anything less than about 15 or 16,000 pounds. On that front, you cannot argue against something like this. And for some people, cash is king, and that is the way they buy their bike. First and foremost, it's just what can they go out and afford? What's the most that they can get for their money? And when it comes to that, you can't really lose with these. This bike it reminds me a lot, in terms of the riding experience anyway, it reminds me of the Moto Guzzi V85 TT. It's kind of soft, it's woolly, it's easy to ride, it's manageable, but it's got a kind of nice sort of character to it that you will warm to over time, and I think riders will really get to know and love. The only one thing, there is only one other sort of unknown about them, and that is the Morbidelli brand. Obviously, Morbidelli's been around for a very long time in the world of motorcycling. It kind of died off and went quiet and then was revived by the Chinese motorcycle industry. And as a relative unknown in the modern world of building motorcycles, are people going to be willing to take a punt on a Chinese-built adventure bike with an Italian brand name sitting on the tank like this one? Let me know in the comments below if that is something you would be willing to take a punt on. Anyway, folks, if you like that video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of Visordown's latest content. And for all the latest news, reviews and motorcycle features, get yourself over to visordown.com.